Welcome back. Today we're going to be going over our first impressions of the day before, which, spoiler alert, happens to be our final impressions as we've already refunded the game. Let's talk about it. After installing the game, we began creating our character with a few options for customizations they provided. With that out of the way, we were set to embark on our journey, and this is where we hit the first roadblock. The server select screen. Connecting to a server in this game seemed nearly impossible, as they were filling up faster than a Waffle House serving free breakfast. The real issue at hand, though, was the absence of a queue for the servers, meaning you'd have to consistently hit the refresh button for the servers list until you had an option for one that wasn't full. You'd click, cross your fingers, and hope for the best, but more often than not, instead of entering the gaming utopia, you were treated to a not-so-warm welcome back to the main menu, accompanied by a connection problem message. This was a great introduction of all the fun that was yet to come. Or maybe the game was attempting to save us from wasting our time. Finally making it into the game after only an hour of clicking on servers, it was time to begin the 30-minute tutorial that would introduce you to all the townfolk of Woodbury, and you'd receive some gear. I personally could have done without the 30-minute runaround and maybe just add a mini-map and some vendor locations. Nevertheless, all seemed pretty normal up to this point for a typical open-world MMO survival game, other than a few players sliding around town like ice skaters on their knees, but we can look past that for now. After completing Tutorial Town, it was finally time to explore the massive open world. Except one thing. Once you load into the city, you'll realize it isn't a massive open world MMO survival. It's an extraction game, kinda like Escape from Tarkov and less like The Division. Okay, so not exactly as they portrayed it, but we'll roll with it. As for the open world itself, well, it's more like an open zone. This game is to open world what a puddle is to a lake. And the city might be full of buildings, as they showed in the trailers, but 90% of them can't even be entered. And to top it all off, they added alarms to all the buildings you can enter that never stop going off. Maybe this was to help you locate the few buildings that are open? Either way, it's one of the most annoying sounds, but you'll just have to get used to it, as starting off, there's no option for interacting with it. Next up on our list of uneventful components is the zombies, as they seem to barely be present, and the ones that are can easily be avoided. Which seems a bit strange for a world set in a zombie apocalypse. You'd think there would be a lot more. And if you do happen to find yourself one-on-one with a zombie, you'll find that they are bullet sponges meant to waste your ammo, and there's no melee option in the game at this time. I guess they forgot to add melee, just like they forgot to file a trademark for their name. Another feature this game is sadly lacking is the ability to mantle. This one's extremely frustrating, as the tiniest of obstacles can stop you dead in your tracks. So if you do find yourself being chased down or trying to take a shortcut to get somewhere, you'll need to make sure to avoid those knee-high obstacles, as all you're going to have available is a small useless hop. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the main gameplay loop, as this is what's meant to make you come back for more. The game is currently centered around quests that you can receive from the local townfolk, as well as collecting items while you're out in the city that you can sell for currency. You can then utilize that currency to obtain better gear, furnishing for your house, or even a vehicle if you can play long enough to afford any of these things. As for the quests, this game features only the most exciting type, the classic fetch quest. Unfortunately, interacting with items can be a bit of a struggle as you attempt to find the right angle to get that interaction icon button to pop up. There's nothing like shuffling from side to side as you attempt to loot a bag. Once you've officially acquired all your loot, it's time for you to evacuate, and it's at this point that you check your map and realize there's only 2 evacuation points available to you while you're wearing a backpack. Can you guess what's going to be waiting for you at those evacuation points? If you guessed other players who enjoy stealing your items, you'd be correct. It's a lot easier for them to camp 2 spots and wait for you to collect all the items they need than do it themselves. This is just another terrible design flaw that we can add to that long-growing list of bad decisions. Now by this point, you might be wondering, is this game a total failure, and is all hope lost? To that, I would say not entirely. You see, there's still a game here, it was just pitched to the wrong audience and could use some improvements, especially if it's going to compete with other extraction games. As currently, there's nothing that makes this game stand out, and it just feels empty. Outside of fixing the bugs in the game, some nice elements could be adding more buildings to explore, so that the environment feels more accessible and less like a street walking simulator. Add more zombies to make them feel like more of a threat. And while you're at it, switch the alarms to be a trip mechanism that'll call the zombies and alert players to your location to create a sense of panic. Finally, some sort of character progression system would be nice to see. Now those are just a few changes I feel might make the world seem a bit more impactful and less dull to explore. I'm sure there's several more great ideas that could help make this game feel less like an empty shell and more engaging. As for now, if you were thinking about picking this game up, maybe give it a little bit more time to cook. That's just our opinion though, and we'd love to know yours down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to do so, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.